Let's start off by talking about your work. Do you work or do you study?
I'm a student. I'm a student in Oman. I am pursuing ACCA at the moment, but the thing is still going on.
What is that?
It's the Association of Certified Chartered Accountancy. So there are 13 papers in it. You're supposed to complete all 13 to get the certification. So far, I've completed 4. I'm still working on doing the rest.
And why did you choose accountancy?
I wanted to get into CFA. I wanted to become a CFA before, but at the time you can't give the exam for CFA. There's a qualification for it as well. So I thought I'll go through ACCA and then I would jump into CFA.
And what career would you like to do in the future, maybe in 5 or 10 years?
Well, it's completely different than what I'm doing right now. I am looking into starting a business or taking a turn in law. So I would like to be a lawyer. It's pretty interesting. It keeps me on my toes.
Now let's talk about history. Did you study history when you were in school?
I did. I did study history in my high school, but I was not very good at it. I like it now because it's all stories. But back then, because I was forced to, get good grades in exams, I was just in there.
Do you watch any historical TV programs or read any books about history?
I do not, unless they're completely fantasized. I do not watch or read anything that's based on history.
And is there any period of history you would like to learn about in the future?
I would like to learn more about the Mughal Empire, honestly. It was a very significant time for Indians and their rule in India. So I would like to learn a bit more about it. I was not interested before, but now I'd like to just for the cultural part of it.
Now let's talk about reading. How often do you read?
I do read here and there sometimes. My friends recommend me books and I like to pick it up I like sharing their interests.
And what was your favorite book when you were a child?
Well, when I was a child, I used to read anything by Enid Blyton. So all of his short stories, they were great. I used to just read them before bedtime and think about it, be a part of it. Yeah, I liked her.
Do you like to read for pleasure or is most of your reading just done at university?
I like to read for pleasure. And then I also do read for university. That's what I need. And for pleasure, I just do that for to rest, to calm down. Just some additional skill I would like to use in my life.
What kind of books do you like to read for pleasure?
It could be educational or it could be fantasy. It could be rom-com, anything thriller, everything.
And do you prefer to read normal paper books or digital books?
I like paperback. I feel like I am in there. There's something different about paperback. Digital, yes, it's nice, but it's more traditional to read by the book. So I do prefer that.
Now let's talk about drinks. What's your favorite drink?
I like mojitos. There's something refreshing about it, and there's something very zesty about it. That's why I like mojitos better.
Do you drink tea or coffee?
I don't drink any of them. Sometimes, maybe if I have the mood, but I don't prefer any. I would prefer juice instead.
Why not tea or coffee?
I think it gets me too excited sometimes, so I would cut back on it.
And how often do you drink water every day?
Well, 4 glasses per day. It's pretty less, I know, but I'm working on it. But I drink 4 glasses whenever I'm thirsty. That's when I take water.
And if people visit your home, what drinks do you normally serve to them?
Well, juice mostly. I'm an Indian, so we usually serve tea because it's what we do. It's a cultural thing. So we serve tea, water, juice, and then a bit of side dishes like biscuits and everything. So I was asked to describe a monument here. I would like to describe the Red Fort. It's in Agra, Delhi, and what it looks like, it's red. We call it Lal Kila in India, in Hindi. It's red overall. It's a palace, and it's very traditional. It was by the Mughal Empire. It was during the Mughal dynasty. Very traditional. I love the aesthetics of it. I did go there once, and I felt like a princess, walking around. I had a deja vu that it felt very close to me. And it was very pretty. I liked how I learned a lot over there, how they used to take showers, or where they used to walk, where were the news and everything being reported, and where people died and everything. There was a lot of history behind it. It was nice, and right now it looks different. Of course, it's modern, and that's just a place that it's not touched anymore. But yeah, and not just that. There's something more different. Is the garden. Uh, the garden is well maintained. There's someone who's coming and taking care of it. It's very well maintained. It was very beautiful to look at. I would not believe that something so old had something so pretty. Like, they were being taken care of for so many years. So yes, that's what I liked about it. Lal Killa isn't the only thing you'll find over there. There's Taj Mahal. There's so many other places like Qutub Minar. There's Jantar Mantar as well. Jantar Mantar is like one of the... That's how they used to come and tell us like what time of the day it is. That's a way to tell the time.
So we've been talking about a monument, and we're going to continue to talk about monuments and architecture and things like that in part 3. What kind of monuments do tourists visit in your country?
They visit the one that I just spoke about, the Red Fort. They visit the Taj Mahal. It's one of the 7 wonders. So yes, it's made of complete marble. So people like to visit these. They want to be a part of. They want to see what's it like in India, what the aesthetics are and everything.
Why do you think there are so many statues of famous people in public areas in some countries?
Well, I think that's because people like to look up to them and remember them for a very long time, that they've made this change in their lives before. And they've come such a long way because of what they've done significantly in history. So that is why they have the statues, as to show, like, to pay tribute mostly. That's why.
Do you agree that old monuments and old statues should always be preserved?
Yes, I do. I do think they should be preserved and looked after, because it's something that was left behind. There's history behind it. Now, you can write history in books, but you would like to see something. You would like to see like some proof of it. Like the dinosaurs, we've written them in books, but there are so many people that believe they are just a theory. So I do think you have to preserve them.
Now let's talk about architecture. In your country, has the design of homes or buildings changed in recent years?
Not very much. Overall, I don't think it has changed, because they still like to live how they've been living. They're not very keen on change. If it's working out for them, they're just going on with it. They're seeing what else they can do with it. So yes.
Do you think that the architecture of a building can affect someone's mood or emotions?
Yes, I do think so. Like, if they like the place, if the architecture is good, it's according to what they want, they're going to feel more motivated, they're going to feel better, they're going to feel confident about doing things in their life. But if not, then they're just going to feel like, yeah, it's always been like this, just a laid back personality. I feel like it does correlate with your personality.
I'm going to give you feedback on part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then we're going to talk about your scores and how you did in the 4 marking criteria. So part 1, no problem at all. It was very natural. It was like having a conversation with a friend or a colleague. There's no problems at all. You developed your answers. You were very friendly, very fluent, no problems discussing any of those. So I wouldn't change my approach in part 1. On test day, you might be a little bit more nervous, or they might throw some topics at you that you weren't expecting. Just go with it. I think that with the level of English that you have, just try your best, even if they might throw something at you weird, like let's talk about hats, or let's talk about birthday cakes, or let's something that you just really weren't expecting. Or you might be comfortable talking about hats and birthday cakes, but some people wouldn't be. They're not judging you on one answer that you didn't feel comfortable talking about. I think you'll be absolutely fine for part 1. Part 2, good. You said in the break when we were talking that you weren't too confident about part 2. Why did you think you didn't do well in part 2?
I didn't have a lot of knowledge about it. So even if it's just speaking, I would like to know a bit more about it. So it was a bit sad that I didn't know anything from my country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to make up a little bit of stuff.
Well, that's one of the more difficult part 2 questions, because not a lot of not many people know much about monuments, and you did really well, I thought. One thing that you should always do is just keep talking until the examiner stops you.
Okay.
You stopped at about 90 seconds, which is not a huge problem. A good examiner will tell you, just keep going. They'll
Yes.
indicate to you. Some of them, I don't know, I'm not in every exam room. Some of them won't, but I imagine, the vast majority of them will help you. They want to get you a good score. But the problem that what happens with a lot of students is they stop and they think they're close to 2 minutes, but because of exam day stress, they might have only been talking for 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and then the examiner has to keep saying, keep going. That can make you a little bit nervous and stressed. So I would just say, keep going. You did add more bullet points. Add as many points as you need that are related to that topic. You can add more bullet points. Sometimes students look at the bullet points. There's not enough really there for 2 minutes, or there's just one or two of them I don't feel comfortable talking about. So add things in that you feel more comfortable talking about. You, as I said, just keep going and you should be fine. Part 3, you did well too. You're very good at more conversational speaking style, which is good, and that's a huge part of this. One area that I think you could work on is your development in part 3. It wasn't a problem. It's just, again, on test day, our brains can play tricks on us, and we can be very nervous. And part 3, often people just want the test to be over, and they give quite short answers. You didn't do that, but I'm just being really careful. One way you could improve that is to give examples, whatever you're thinking about. It doesn't have to be like a very high level academic example, but just mention it and talk about it that a little bit. What you can also do is don't just focus on like the conversational style of this is what I think. Try and think from different perspectives in part 3. So what do different people think? A good way to start it is depends. Some people think this, some people think that. For example, do you think that design of buildings affects people's moods? Some people, no, it doesn't affect them at all. They wouldn't even consider that. Other people that are, maybe architects, for example, or people that are sensitive to their surroundings, it could really affect their mood. And think about it, for example, this, or for example, that. And that will really help you develop. So let's talk about the marking criteria. Strengths and weaknesses. I think strengths, fluency and coherent. You are answering the questions. You are developing them enough. I gave you some little pointers on how to develop them more, but you're doing really well in those areas. Vocabulary, you didn't have any problem talking about any of those topics, and you have a nice wide range vocabulary, very few errors. Here's some examples of nice vocabulary that you used.
They've come such a long way because of what they've done significantly in history. So that is why they have the statues as to show, like, to pay tribute mostly.
Same with grammar. You have a very wide range of grammar. Here's some of the grammatical structures and tenses you were using, which are excellent.
I love the aesthetics of it. I did go there once and I felt like princess, like, walking around. I had a deja vu that, like, it felt very close to me.
And pronunciation, again, I wouldn't say it as a weakness at all. Some people watching might often when we have people with a particular accent, they'll think that you should get a lower score because you have a particular accent and you don't speak like the King of England. That is actually wrong. It doesn't really talk in the marking criteria about having a particular accent. It talks about clarity. So you could have a Vietnamese accent, a Indian accent, an Irish accent, and it can be either a clear Irish accent or an extremely difficult to understand Irish accent. You have an Indian accent, but it doesn't affect my ability to understand you at all. So what I would recommend is don't try and change. It's up to you. You're an adult. You can do whatever you want. But a lot of people, whenever they move to an English-speaking country, think that they need to sound like the people there. I would not recommend that. I think it's a waste of time. Again, it's up to you. I would do what you're doing, which is just trying to be as clear as possible within your own accent. That's your identity, you know. So nothing wrong with it at all. Also, don't do what a lot of Indian speakers do, which is speaking too quickly. You don't speak too quickly. So often someone will have quite a strong Indian accent and they will speak very quickly. I think 'cause many of the languages in India, they speak them extremely quickly. And then when they're talking in English, that translates there, but you don't have that problem. So very, very strong. So I'm going to get all your scores and create a nice PDF for you, put all your scores in there.